So, ihr braucht eure Wortschatz und eure Übungsblätter, ja, für heute. Und heute diskutieren wir, was man im Restaurant hört und sagt, ja. Okay, so, Klasse, wir gehen ins Restaurant. Klasse, bitte, wir gehen ins Restaurant. Wir gehen ins Restaurant, ja? Wir gehen ins Restaurant. And when you're there, you're going to see, Klasse, ein Kellner oder Kellnerin? Kellnerin oder Kellner, ja? Kellner oder Kellnerin, okay? And that person, so in the United States, usually we wait to be seated, or, you know, sometimes there's a sign that says, oh, okay, go ahead and seat yourself, but in most restaurants, do we wait to be seated? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in Deutschland, that would be very unusual. Not like mega, but pretty unusual. And so you're going to just look for a place to sit and you're going to take it. And another difference is that if there's, like if all the tables have somebody at them, and there's like a bigger table that just has 2 people or 4 people, but there's room on the other end, it is not weird to sit down at the other end of a big long table. In fact, sometimes seating hostesses or hosts will like take you there, right? Would that happen in the United States, do you think?
No.
No, right? But before, if you're seating yourself, and that's the situation, you want to ask to be polite, Klasse, ist hier noch frei? Ist hier noch frei? Because, you know, maybe they have more people that are coming, right? Or maybe they have people that are in the bathroom and they went in a herd, whatever. This is also the term that you use if you're on public transportation and it looks like there's a free seat there, but you're not for sure, right? So then you ask, noch einmal, Klasse, ist hier noch frei? Ist hier noch frei, right? And they'll be like, ja oder nein, right? And so then the Kellner is gonna come, you're gonna get your Speisekarte, Klasse, Speisekarte? Speisekarte, right? And then you're going to be ready to order oder bestellen, okay? And you're going to say, Klasse, ich hätte gern. Ich hätte gern is the most polite way, okay? You can also say, ich möchte, which means what? Ich möchte, I want, or ich nehme, which means I'll take. And there's other ways, just like in English. But the most polite way, the way that I'm going to be looking for you to do it, is Klasse, noch einmal. Ich hätte gerne, and that I on gern is like decorative. You can have it there or not. So ich hätte gern or ich hätte gerne, doesn't matter. Okay? And then make sure you think about, as you're ordering, whether you want something with your meal with something or without something. Is that important ordering vocabulary? What do you think? It's really important, right? To get your food the way you want it. So, Klasse, mit und ohne. Mit und ohne. Sehr gut. And then, in the United States, once you order your food, and especially once they deliver it, they're going to come and check on you pretty regularly, like every 6 to 10 minutes. Ja? Ist das wahr? Ja, right? In Deutschland, they're going to leave you alone. Okay, so in the United States, I don't know if you guys know this, but our business model in the United States with most restaurants, not really nice restaurants, right? Not Anthony's and stuff like that, but most restaurants, the model is, it's like turn your tables as fast as you can, right? You want to get people in, get them seated, get them waited upon, get them happy, get them paying, and get them out so that you can put people at that table. Do you guys feel that when you're at a restaurant? Like Red Robin's, or you know what I mean? Like, it's like, let's go, get people through. In Deutschland, it would be the opposite. So, of course, there are restaurants where, you know, they're going for kind of a quasi-fast food-ish model, like pizzerias and stuff. They're trying to get you in and out. But in general, if you're at a restaurant, they figure you're there to, like, hang out with people that you like, and you don't want to be interrupted, and you certainly don't want to be rushed. And so that's the model that they operate on. So they seat you, and they, you know, once that you order and they bring you your food, they just leave you alone. And they figure that if you need something, you're going to do what? Bitte, Logan? You're going to ask, right? So you're going to go, Klasse, Entschuldigung. Entschuldigung, or just like in the USA, you know, sometimes you don't say anything, but you kind of catch your server's eye and you're looking like, hey, I need something. But they're gonna leave you alone. They are not gonna come and check on you. And if you wanna take an hour to eat your main course and just enjoy your meal, they're just gonna let you do that. Okay, so Americans often feel like, oh my gosh, the service here is awful. Like they haven't come and checked on us at all. They're going from a different thought paradigm, right? So they're gonna leave you alone unless you say, noch einmal, Klasse, Entschuldigung, Entschuldigung, and I'm gonna teach you a little bit more on a different day about how you're gonna signal both when you're in a home and in a restaurant that you're done. Oh, what do you say though? Oh no, we haven't gotten to that officially, have we? Nope, we haven't. Okay, so they will come up at the end and check and make sure that everything was fine. So Klasse, hat alles gut geschmeckt? Hat alles gut geschmeckt? What are they asking you? Was everything good? Did it all taste good? And so if you really want to say something like, you know, like it was really amazing, which we hope your food is, but, you know, of course it's not always. Here's a great word for you. Klasse. Sagenhaft. Sagenhaft. Was ist sagen? Wie sagt man sagen auf English? Yeah, to say, right? And so it's kind of like, we would translate it as like amazing, but it really literally would translate to like, wow, that was worth talking about, right? Do we talk about all our food?
Yeah.
We do? You guys talk about all your food like all the time?
No,
you're like, oh my gosh.
If it was good.
Right, if it's really good, then you're like, oh my gosh, that's really good. Like, sorry vegetarians, but in our family we talk about the steak at Anthony's. That is sagenhaft, right? Like something that you're really like, oh my gosh, that is so good, right? Sagenhaft. But most of the time you're just gonna say, Klasse, lecker. Lecker. Das war lecker. Okay? If you need to say, if you feel the need to say, it wasn't very good, you know, you can say that, right? Oh, das Essen war schlecht. Right? You know a lot of words. But if you're talking among yourselves and somebody says, well, what did you think? And you want to be like, well, it was kind of nothing special, right? If you're being honest. Are Germans honest?
Yeah.
They are, right? Klasse, nichts Besonderes. Nichts Besonderes, right? Like it was nothing special. Okay, so that you can encounter. And then you might at your table be, you know, talking about your level of how full you are, right? So in the United States, we wait, and when we're probably actually full, we say, oh, I'm full, I can't eat anymore. But again, in Deutschland, Klasse, ich bin satt. Ich bin satt. I'm satisfied, right? And again, I'm going to teach you a way to show that on a different day. You're actually going to demonstrate that via your Besteck. Klasse, Besteck? Besteck is silverware. Okay, so there's a way to do that. It's also true in the United States, but most Americans don't learn it. But next week is going to be your lucky day, because I'm going to teach you. Do you know it, Jenna? Okay. Since I served, and I served at a nice restaurant, I knew a little bit of this stuff before I went to Deutschland, but I didn't know it was like normal human knowledge. But turns out it is if you're European. Okay? Here's another big difference. In Deutschland, so you order, right, and you get your main course. They will actually wait until everybody's done eating, and then they'll clear. So not like in the United States where as soon as somebody's done, they clear your plate. In Deutschland, they're going to leave it. And again, that's not bad service. That's the idea that they don't want somebody, like if there were 4 people at the table and 3 people were done and they've cleared your place. I don't know if you're the slow eater in your family, but I am. And so everybody else, it looks like I'm just there eating by myself, right? Like there's people there, but nobody else is eating. In Europe, they will not do that. They will wait until the last person is done eating, and then they clear it all at once. But even then, once they clear it, they're gonna wait for you to say, Klasse, noch einmal, Entschuldigung, right? So they're not gonna come right up and be like, well, have you decided on some dessert? Did you leave room? They're not gonna do that. They're gonna let you sit and chat, and if you wanna chat for 45 minutes, and just be together, they're gonna wait until you signal, and then you're either going to be ready to pay, in which case you're gonna say, Klasse, zahlen bitte. You can also say, bezahlen bitte. And you know, there's lots of ways. Die Rechnung bitte, right? I'd like the bill. But most people just say, zahlen bitte, and that's what I'm gonna quiz you on. So noch einmal, Klasse, zahlen bitte. Zahlen bitte. And you're gonna catch the eye of your server, and it's not rude, right? Because this is how their whole system functions, that when you're ready, you let them know, right? And your server will come over, and being a server in Europe, or at least in Germany and Austria, where I've spent the most time, is like you can make a living wage, right? That can be like your only job. And the reason why is they get a lot more responsibility than servers in the United States get. So there are less servers because of the business model that we've been talking about, right? Where they're not trying to check in on every table every 6 to 10 minutes. But they also carry like a money belt right here, and they're responsible for their own till. Do you guys know what that means? Mm-hmm. Right? So it's almost like being a bank checker. They're gonna get, or bank teller, they're gonna get a bunch of money to make change for like their whole shift, right? And then whatever the total is, I'm gonna come over, and they often have, like in Canada, like those little handheld computers, like the little guys. And so I come over and, you know, here's my table that I've been waiting on. They've been amazing, obviously. And so I'm like, okay, das macht, and we're not gonna say 11 Euro, because we got a table of 4 or 5 here, right? We're gonna say, das macht 70 Euro zusammen. So Klasse, das macht 70 Euro zusammen. 70 Euro zusammen, right? And so I'm over here, and I'm telling the head person, obviously, matriarch of the family, das macht 70 Euro zusammen. And then this is another big cultural difference. So in the United States, we usually pay with credit cards. And so we get a little slip, and we fill it out, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But in Deutschland, number one, people are often paying with cash, because they're more of a cash society. And if they're paying with a card, often the credit card slips don't have a space for the tip. It's kind of, I don't know why, but they don't. And so you should tip in Deutschland, but it's more like 5 to 10%. What is it in the United States? 15 to 20%, right? So it's a huge difference. If you tip 5% in Deutschland, like, that's kind of like being on the low end of 15 here. And if you tip 10%, that's pretty good. And if you do like the American thing and you tip 20%, that is like tipping 40% in Deutschland, right? Right. So to an American server, if you get tipped 40%, like twice the norm, you're like, yeah, I'm bringing it, right? In Deutschland, if you tip the American way, they're like, holy crap, right? Because it's twice what they're used to. But the whole tipping thing happens face to face in Deutschland. So if the bill was 70 Euro, and let's say that Madison decided she was gonna be, she was just gonna tip flat 10%, right? Like I didn't do anything amazing. She's just gonna tip flat 10%. And she has 4 20 Euro Stückchen, right? She's got 4 20 Euro bills, right? So she would take out her 4 20 Euros, she would hand them to me, right? And she would say 77. What does that mean? 77. So the bill was 70, right? So the bill was 70, and now she wants to pay 77 with the tip, right? So what's she wanting to pay? 77, but she's giving me 80. But if she says 77, then as the server, I'm going to go danke, and I'm going to give her how much change? 3 Euro, right? I'm just going to give her 3 Euro back. That's how you tip, right? Or if she decided, oh, well, I'm just going to give 80, right? I'm going to give 10 Euro, which is a little more, you know, but it's like, that's a little more than 10%, but that's what I would do, right? If I was 5 people, I would just do Ochsish, right? And so then she's going to say the keep the change thing, like in the United States. So Klasse, stimmt schon. Stimmt schon. So she would just hand me her 420s, and she'd be like, stimmt schon, and I'd be like, danke sehr, and we'd be done. So there's not as much. If you try to leave change on the table, especially if you're tipping like a large American amount, they'll like grab it off the table and be like, oh, you left your money, oh no, because they don't get it. Like that's not how it's done. I was just listening to a story last night of a guy who said, you know, he left kind of a big American tip. It was over 5 Euro, and he, you know, got up and walked out, and they literally like scooped up his money and came running after him like, oh my gosh, you left money. So that's just not how it's done. And the cool thing about this is it eliminates that awkward thing that you may see your parents doing, where if you're paying with cash, but you only have like a big bill, you have to like give it to your server and be like, hey, can you break this for me, right? And as a server, it's always like, right? You know, I'm not getting that $5 bill. I'm getting some part of that $5 bill. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's a little awkward, but you don't have to do that because they have a till right here on their belly, right? And so You just tell them how much of a tip you want to give, and they do it. How many people think that's so cool? Yay! So can we agree, Gesundheit, that there are pluses and minuses to each system? Right? Like sometimes when I'm in Deutschland, I'm like, oh, I miss the American system of like, they're gonna get me in and out in an hour. You can get in and out in an hour if it's like a business that's trying to turn tables. But again, those are the rarity. It's just flipped from the United States, right? Most of them, when I go to a German restaurant, I would never expect to get out in anything less than an hour and a half, ever. And more like 2 hours, right? And my husband always allows 3 when I'm going out with friends. He's like, yeah, see ya in like tomorrow. It's just a different, it's like an experience, right? They're thinking you just want to be with people and really hang out and connect. Danke.